Back up in the house, the live house, the space where the vulnerable are powerful.
Yes, sir.
And what the most gangster thing you could do is serve. You are welcome here. You know what I'm saying? No matter your race, religion, color, your creed, whether you broke, whether you paid, you know what I'm saying? Whether this is your first time listening or you a long time listener, we appreciate you. This is All the Way Live.
Welcome everybody to All the Way Live. So excited to be back up here with you, my brother, speaking to our people, our community. This week we got so much, at least some fun things to be able to talk about because there's so much happening in the world. So it's another week under that carefully curated content for your cranium. We do the show for a host of reasons, but no reason more important than the fact that we know people are going through it, man. We know people are going through it. We know how difficult it is for some folks just trying to find their way. People hoping on that one email to come in, or people hoping on that one message, or that one link to fall through, and then just being on edge, just waiting for that. It can drive you stir crazy, man. So this right here is a little moment to relieve yourself from that, get entertained, get some good vibes, good energy to go through your week with. We do that consistently. It don't change. We're doing it again this week.
Man, and this week, like every week, this show is brought to you from a multitude of places. We international with it, you feel me? The show is brought to you from the UK. Birmingham is in the building. Shout out to our producer Hassan. Joburg is in the building. Boy. You know what I'm saying? Zoe holding it down in Joburg. You know, what I love about this show being international, right? And in different hemispheres is that even as it chills out, even as it gets frosty over here for me, you come in right into summer. And you bringing that energy back to us. So it's for always summertime on All the Way Live. And I appreciate that so much. Last week was Columbus Day. And Columbus Day has been canceled, which means last week was for real Indigenous Peoples Day. And on Indigenous Peoples Day, I took the time to check out some programming from Shy Nations Youth Council and some other folks that have been doing work for the First Nations and Indigenous peoples around the city. And they told this story, right? This dude told this story. My man, actually, Dilla Thomas, who gives tours in the city, told a story where he was at a conference, right, supporting First Nations youth. And, he was talking to this guy and he was saying that he does land acknowledgements before his tours. And the guy was like, oh, cool. And my man Dilla was holding the water, and the guy goes, "Can I hold that water right quick?" And he takes the water, and then he goes up to speak. So the dude Dilla was talking to was speaking. He goes up to speak, and he says, "Yo, I just want to acknowledge that this water right here was Dilla's. Dilla's out there. He's in the crowd. I took this water from Dilla, and this was Dilla's water. It's messed up that I took it." And then he proceeded to keep it and drink it, and that's a representation to say it's cool to acknowledge, right, the harm that's been done, that something was taken, but unless you have a plan to give it back, unless you have a plan to do something about it, right, just saying that land was taken is empty. So we've said for a long time that this show is recorded on stolen land. We've done land acknowledgements as a part of the opening for the show for a good minute, but I guess that story has me thinking of what's the way that we can actively participate in giving back, so that we're not just emphasizing that without any action behind it. So if you hear the land acknowledgement in the next couple of shows, or if you don't and it sounds different, just know that that's something that we're thinking about, just so that we're keeping it all the way real. Sorry, I stole the show a little bit on that one. My co-host wasn't aware that I was going to drop that, but just something I've been thinking about.
Yeah. You dropped a whole new remix to the land acknowledgement. But I think I like what you're saying, right? And I think this gets into like a very good point on the next topic when we're going to be speaking about is like the intention of wanting to make the world a better place, right? And part of that is land acknowledgement, acknowledging who's been on that land, what it means to that land, and then what are you going to do on top of that? And obviously there's a multitude of things that people can do, but sometimes it goes array. You get me?
Indeed. Now that's a perfect transition to our next topic. But do you want to let me I took a little bit of space up on the show, as a point of privilege. How are you? What you been thinking about? How's my brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, basking and glowing in love, being a beautiful black boy in this lovely world with my lady. Spent the weekend with her and her family. Good stuff. At the beginning of the show, when I was talking about waiting on that one thing to help move through, I feel like that's kind of where I'm at a little bit. Just anticipating the last push to allow things to start moving in motion. But what I'm learning is that it's not about working to a point where there's one thing to get pushed for things to start happening. It's about working to a point where everything or anything you're doing can get pushed at any moment and you're just prepared for that. So stop looking at it as like a destination, but more so preparation. And it's a bit tough to do that, but just try to stay grounded in the right working habits, man. Just whenever things get a bit too hectic, just go back to the notebook. Make sure that I'm doing my gratitude list, affirmation list. Wake up in the morning, write things down, read, meditate, keep exercising, put down my intentions, highlight the priorities of the things that I need to do. And it can get boring at times, but I understand that that's the work. The work is the boring part. How long you're able to endure the boring part of the thing you love is gonna increase the reward of what happens when you do the thing you love.
Man, big gems right there, man. No, it's impressive, especially I know you moved back and forth between Joburg, Cape Town, Namibia beforehand, not too long ago. Your ability to stick to that foundation of that routine, as you move between spaces. That's the hard part for me is I get the routine set and then change happens. I have to wake up a little earlier. I have to do something a little bit differently and it falls apart. So, man, stick with it. I'm glad to hear you're
Yeah,
happy and healthy.
and
Man.
on that point, G, like I think also habits, we being too strict with your habit, there's a fine line between being too strict with your habit and then allowing room for things to change. And like for instance, on my end, I was a 5:30 a.m. gym person. I gotta be at the gym at 5:30, no matter what, no matter what, no matter what. But sometimes there's a change in plans. When I was in university, I had to study in the morning, so I wasn't able to go to the gym first thing in the morning. I had to utilize that time to do some other work, but just kind of being very flexible. Am I back? Can you hear me, Kelly?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just being flexible with the schedule, man. Just understanding that like the basics that need to be done. I need to read. I need to meditate. I need to exercise. Those three things. If I can do those three things at some point in my morning, then everything is fine. But it's a fine line. You got to be loose with it, but be strict.
Be water, my friends.
Be water. Pretty much.
Let's get it.
Yo, we got so much to talk about, dog. Let's get into this thing.
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? This is a mess. Big mess. And some messes are the results of like the best intentions, right? Um, but sometimes your intentions don't matter quite as much as the results. And the results in this case are pretty bad. We are talking about Savior Complex. If you ain't know, there's a documentary available for streaming now on HBO called Savior Complex about a woman who started off on a missionary trip and ended up kind of playing a doctor in Uganda. And playing doctor meant playing with a lot of people's lives. And now she's in the hot seat and having to answer for that. I came across this and immediately wanted to hear from my bro on this one. Zoe, did you get a chance to check it out and initial thoughts on Savior Complex?
I'm actually quite uniquely positioned in this conversation, right? Because not only have I spent some years going to a Christian missionary school in Germany, right? And I was surrounded by the intent for whites, bro. I was surrounded by, you know, um, so I've been in this community, right? I've been in this community quite deeply. Understand about furlough. Understand about reaching out to. I understand about fundraising, what that looks like, how it comes about, how missionary schools are set up, what people's missions are going into those places, how they work, the interworkings of it. Um, I dated one of these. I've dated one of these Savior Complex, go to Uganda Huns before. You know what I mean?
From
This
all angles. you,
no,
you got this. You got this covered from all angles, and I just appreciate that so much.
I'm kind of an expert on white women trying to help Africa, bro. A little bit.
Are you Africa in most of these scenarios?
Fair enough. Yes, sometimes I am. I am the Africa to fix. Yes, I won't deny that.
Hey, man. So
Yeah, man, it
that
was
makes you the
kind of
perfect
crazy.
that makes you the perfect person to talk to on this. And so offer it before we even get too deep into it. How should we take this? Do we like should we feel bad for her? And I'm gonna pull up homegirl's name. I've forgotten it already.
Her
It's
name
Renee.
is Renee Bach.
Renee,
Renee Bach.
yeah. Should we feel bad for Renee? Should we hate Renee? How should we
Well,
feel about this?
giving some background, just giving a bit of background on it. So pretty much, Savior Complex is like Miles said. This girl in 2009, Renee, she goes on a missions trip to Uganda, being called from her home in somewhere in the U.S. And then she starts this thing called Serving His Children. It's a nonprofit. They offer free meals and things like that. And then as it proceeds, she, like you said, increasingly takes on the role of being a doctor and starts running a NICU, a Native Intensive Care Unit, out of this nonprofit home that she has, and the mortalities, and because of a lack of expertise, there's some concerns about her practice of running such uh, a, a technically skill required thing like running a clinic, even though they didn't have any licensing for it, right? So that's the background story. What Was she wrong? Yes. Yes, you were wrong. Yes, you were wrong. However, I think this is a good case of white on white violence, dude. If you see how she's being attacked, it's very reminiscent to how white women have attacked some other people before. And the fact that it's a white woman in Uganda attacking this other white woman, for me, I take this documentary with a grain of salt.
Say more.
I've heard these attacks, right? Because the people who have been pretty much pursuing this case and have have pushed for Renee to go to court, and whatever the case is out of an organization called No White Saviors, right? So pretty much it's a collection of these Ugandan activists, a lot of them Ugandan based, and they discuss this white savior complex that happens in Africa with all these girls who go to Africa to go try and save the world, and then what that means for them and how they act when they get there.
I ain't gonna hold you. I definitely want some No White Saviors merch.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. I'll take it as a sticker. I'll have a sticker.
Right? Little t-shirt, little something like that. Support the movement. I think there's a really important sentiment behind that. That I hear getting questioned, like, or that I hear being part of the conversation more in terms of a criticism of philanthropy. The idea that the well-being of developing spaces is dependent on the benevolence, the generosity of people that have a lot more, and the ways in which resources have been exported and the way that these spaces have been exploited in the past, not taking any account for that or any healing for that. So the idea of no white saviors, that the issues that these spaces that have struggles are facing is not going to be saved by some outside force basically executing their will, but by empowering the people that actually live there, is really important. and I can agree with that idea behind no white saviors. I think it gets complicated when you have everybody is just trying to out high horse the other person, right? I run a charity. I'm helping starving kids in Africa. We help make sure that people who run charities that are helping starving kids in Africa are actually helping. On the face of it, both of those are very noble pursuits, but are we doing it for those kids or are we doing it for ego? And I think both sides have to kind of check themselves on that.
Yeah, and so one of the things that they were saying about the dynamic of the white girls that goes to Africa to go save it, and the reason I say white girls is because it is predominantly single, young, early to mid 20s, white women from evangelical backgrounds who go on these mission trips, right? And so my school used to host a bunch of these mission trips, and they would take a bunch of kids going there. People would go to Uganda with the school. They'd go to all these different things, right? So I think it kind of like goes into that question of, is altruism pure, right? And if you stand on the and I've actually been checked by this by somebody before. A girl came up to me and she was seeing the work that we do on our foundation and stuff. She was like, yo, do you do this work because you actually care, or do you do this work to make it look like you care, right? And my argument back to her was, it doesn't matter because I'm doing something. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you think about it because I'm doing it. So you coming here telling me that I'm doing something to look good is irrelevant to me because I'm the person that's there doing it, So there can be that judgment that comes in when you look at something like this. But I genuinely think across the board, these people are good people, man. No one for dog Uganda, Uganda, son. What? That is not an easy place to go live. They ain't staying in hotels. These girls, they're going into the depths of some serious poverty and looking to help children at the end of the day. Now, the interesting thing that I found they said about the Savior Complex was how the whole relationship of white people coming with Jesus flag in order to teach black kids about Jesus while helping them was also a tool that was utilized to oppress black people historically, right? So understand the whole, it's an extension of colonialism. It's kind of like the hammer that was used to break windows is the same hammer that they're using to nail to build walls, right? And it's just like, okay, but you're holding a hammer is the problem.
Yeah, and why can't I hold the hammer? If we've seen what you've done with it in the past and you got the hammer, you feel me? Like,
Are we speaking literal hammers here? I really want to clarify that for our audience. Stick around for the Westside Gunn review where we'll be talking about metaphorical hammers.
Not be the hothead friend that can't hold the hammer. But you feel me? Like, why? And that's why I think my comment went to ego, is not because you have to do this work with no sense of ego, right? I actually think your people's reasons for doing philanthropic work, some people just do it for tax write-offs. I know of many an organization that operates off of grants that were given, not because somebody really cares, but because that's their tax write-off. So the reasoning becomes important. How big your ego is in this becomes important when it becomes time to step aside. And that was the big issue, I think, in this whole documentary, is at a certain point, it's good that you want to help, but you at a certain point, that doesn't, just because you want to help and you have the resources to help, don't mean that you are the best person to be controlling every aspect of this, right? Whether that's controlling how people receive medical care, whether that's administering that care yourself, whether that's deciding how an organization is run, whether that's deciding who has access to care. Just because you're the one bringing the resources doesn't mean that you should be the one making those decisions. And I think because a lot of people that have a lot of those resources come from a business perspective, which is, I bring the capital, I get to negotiate and make decisions. I think they bring that same attitude toward.
I'm gonna stop you there, dude.
What up?
This girl wasn't coming from a business perspective. I think she just came from, I hate to say, but a white perspective, man. And that's the whole.
There you go.
That's the whole savior complex.
Well, there you go. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Touche, right? Like, it could be wherever that comes from. right? And I think for a lot of people, it just comes from a sense of privilege, a sense of whiteness, but also the Western world. I was educated. I come from the United States, so automatically I know more than anybody that's here, right? Wherever that sense of entitlement comes from or self-importance come from, you have to be able to squash it and push it to the side when other people's lives are on the line. And if you can't do that, you're the wrong person to be in that position.
You can have the right intention and do the wrong thing, and I think that's what the case for this lady was. And do I think she's being treated unfairly? Yes, technically I think she's being treated unfairly. I think there's a lot of setups in places like Uganda where people are trying their best to help kids in every effort that they can and aren't necessarily getting it right. But for her to get singled out in this way, that's the part where is she being treated unfairly, right? Because everybody else is not being treated to the same scrutiny. However, you also don't want to put yourself in a position when you're running an NGO of this sort to be in a place where you can be called out on doing something that is not in line with the experts that are around. So the bad thing that, like you said, the bad thing about this whole thing is that this girl's like, no, I'm the doctor here. I know best. Do what I say. And that part makes her the wrong person to operate it like that. But what I don't like is I don't like is the no white saviors who call out, who are gun ho on calling this out, right? That's great. But she asked, like, cool, right? What happens to all those kids that are there though? Y'all didn't take them in? Y'all didn't find homes for them to be able to go to? Y'all guys didn't make a plan of what was going to happen to all these families that were over here actually getting treated? So great, you got me, but
I feel that. But I think something that I've learned trying to do impact work with vulnerable communities is that you can't compare your success to what would be happening if you didn't exist. You know what I mean? It's not, if I wasn't helping these kids, then they would be getting nothing. Nah, you should compare your success, your impact, your outcomes to what is the best case scenario with all the resources that I have. If I have a certain amount of money, if I have a building and a space, if I have access to care providers and volunteers and equipment, you're not comparing your what happens to if that didn't exist at all. You're comparing what's the best case, the most amount of care, the highest quality of care that somebody could provide with all of those resources. So I think it's not, and because somebody else does want to do it, you bet your ass, you as this white lady who came from the United States are not the only person that cares about this community, that wants to help and uplift this community. And there's somebody else that if they had the same resources and the same privilege that you have, would be doing more. And they could probably do that with your resources if you give them up. So you're not comparing what would happen if you took your ball and go home. You're comparing what should happen if you put that in the hands of community or somebody else more qualified.
Interesting. It's a very fascinating one, man. It really is. I do think that she is being treated a bit harshly, but I also think she's wrong. I also think she's wrong because at the end of the day, man, I lived with missionaries. I've been to missionary, like, spent many of Christmases in missionary homes. A lot of the times when we moved to Kazakhstan or all these places, missionary schools were already set up over there in these remote places, trying to help the community. And those would be the people my mother befriends. So then, I virtually become friends with missionary kids as well, MKs. And for the most part, it's a very similar background in the sense that we're all what we call TCKs, third culture kids, right? People that have been able to move around in different places, live in different countries, and have this vastly unique life experience of exposure at a young age. And that, for the most part, they just want to help, man. It's within them to help. These are people that are genuinely very selfless, to the point where they're willing to say, listen, I'm going to spend my days trying to help somebody. And that's what happens. Now, there is a very interesting dynamic about the demographic that chooses to do this and the background that they choose from, being predominantly single white women. and then the power dynamics that come into play once they get into these places. And I think that definitely needs to get checked. But I'm also on the side of, let's not cancel the help, let's improve on the help, especially in places like this.
I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, and diversify your leadership. Make sure that there's people from that community that are in position to make decisions. Period. Uh,
Boom, boom, boom.
I was what? Oh, so just as we wrap up, anything that you're taking from this, any ways that you would move differently, lessons learned as somebody who runs a nonprofit that serves kids in Africa?
I'm thinking about that. I think about that right now, and as I was watching, I was thinking the same thing. And I think it comes to being above the books, not just in this capacity of the foundation, but outside of it as well. Thinking to myself about good practice, and at least trying to attempt to do things in the right manner, and also consult the people that we're working with. And I think that's the good thing about the way we run our foundation, is that we lean quite heavily into, tell us what you need, and let's see what we can do, and then being honest about what we can do and seeing what that does, and not taking the position of we are an authority on what needs to happen. That's not true at all.
Well said. Well said. Cool.
Yeah. I got some. Let's shake up the room a bit. Let's shake up the room a bit. Going into our quick hits, boy. Quick hits. Let's get into a dark room. Ooh, under the spotlight.
I like it. I like it. We
Under
need
the
quick hits
spotlight.
music. We need some like UK drill for some quick hits music.
Yeah. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Oops, we're working on it.
We're gonna get those Boondocks drops in there somehow.
Question 1 coming from Reddit. What's the biggest elephant in the room that society needs to address?
I'm a black man, so it's hard for me to not say racism, racial capitalism, structural violence. I don't know, something y'all have heard from me a million times like that. What say you? I'll try and think. While you go, I'll try and think of something more creative.
The biggest elephant in the room in the country right now, I would say
is our government. It's not even an elephant in the room, but like a lot of the government that we say is stealing are our parents. That's
Wait,
the elephant in the
The
room.
government is stealing our parents?
No.
What type
Our
of Jimmy
parents.
Neutron shit is this?
Dude, it's happening in Africa. They're abducting parents, white aliens.
Damn.
That's that
the
same white
thing.
alien that brought out that box in Peru to Puerto Rico.
What's he doing with the parents, cuz?
No. That the government people are our parents.
Okay. They are grandparents, low key.
That's the elephant in the room. It's like we're like corruption, but our parents are within that. And I'm definitely not talking about mine. Love you, mom. Love you, dad. Not mine, but I mean our, as in
Collective
the population.
hour. Yeah.
The collective hour. Definitely not the individualized hour. I want to state that very clearly.
Your hour, fuck you mean.
My mom's gonna watch this and just be so disappointed. You said we are what? No, mom, not you. Damn, mom. It's not our mom.
They
You're
are
the best.
moms
Love you.
out there. Yeah. Yo, shout out all the moms. You know what? I think collectively the fact that we don't lift up intelligence or reading the same way anymore. Like it's not like, I think we're like we're getting dumber, low key, but not even just like we're getting dumber because we have access to a lot of more information. Like we don't care about intelligence in the same way anymore, and that's kind of, it's weird, man. We don't care about it in our
I know what you mean.
news, in our
I know what you
media.
mean.
We don't care.
There's no like, because there was a point in time where being the intellectual brother was the thing to be, you know? Yeah, brother, what's mathematics today? You know,
dude. And but just in general, right? Just like being like, or even that like somebody like a James Bond type figure would be smooth, charismatic, able to fight, great aim, but also well read. You know what I mean? Also able to philosophize on some shit if he need to, you know. But I feel like we ain't with that no more. We don't
I
care.
blame John Wick.
Yeah, maybe because you don't have to say anything. It's cooler to just to
John,
not say anything. John Wick got
just
2
annihilate.
lines a movie, dude. That man said
Straight up, dude.
2 sentences each movie.
We're the John Wick movie era. I was going through a whole bunch of trailers, and there are so many trailers that are John Wick-esque. Like, go just take a look at almost every action movie that's coming out now. It's like Liam Neeson starring in a John Wick kind of role.
But you know what? But you know Liam Neeson started that. It's all taken. It's all taken. And they just keep upping the violence ante. You know what I mean? John Wick is just taken with the dog. They just took his dog's life
to heaven.
But you feel me?
Oh my god, that's why we do these quick hits, man. Gold comes from this. They took his dog's life.
They did.
John Wick definitely has a particular set of skills. You can't even deny that.
You see?
All right, next one. What is your personal hell?
What is my personal hell? I'll tell you what my personal hell is. There's something that I need very badly. Can't live without it. And the only way to get it is to talk to an automated voice machine that's offering me options and then like telling me to say like, yes, like, is this what you want? Bruh. But I can't speak to a human. That is my personal hell, bro. Like you can get out of hell if you can speak to a human and just tell them like, I'm not supposed to be in hell. My personal hell is I'm not supposed to be in hell, but they messed up and now I'm in hell and there's a way to get me out, but I have to call hell's customer service and there's no person that I can speak to. It's only the automated voice message system. That is my personal hell right there.
You don't understand. You don't understand.
For eternity, nigga. For eternity.
He's just on that line every 2 hours and just hangs up.
Yeah.
Hangs up.
Oh, you need to be transferred to God. Oh, you need to be transferred to God. Oh, we could do that. Just hang on. Just hold up.
2 hours. Fuck out of here. Oh my goodness. My personal version of hell is I'm at like a white party and I can't leave. I'm a super white party and I can't leave, and it's always 3:30 a.m. and I'm like at that point where I'm just enough to get home, but like definitely not enough to be there, and I just cannot leave.
Every time you get close to the door, Chad, who passed out before you got there, wakes up to a roar of applause from the party, and they're like, dude, you can't leave. Chad just woke up, dude. You gotta be
not even, dude. I'm talking like prison escape, bro. Like I'm fighting to get out, but the windows won't open up, the doors won't open up. Like I'm actually stuck there.
Oh dang. Yeah, that's some
Nah, I'm not gonna say it.
Nah, go for it. Nah. You can't do that to us.
I'm trying to explain technology to my parents over the phone.
Yo, why you got so much smoke for your mom this episode?
No. Not my parents.
Somebody's parents. Y'all's parents.
Love you, mama.
Yeah. Tech illiterate parents. Y'all got.
No.
Where's bugging?
Oh man,
this nigga just said home is his personal hell. This nigga wilding right now.
I don't like this narrative. I don't like this game anymore.
Dog.
Let's see if we can get one more. Let's see. What's the most aggressive thing you've ever done?
The most aggressive thing? They trying to get niggas jammed up. The most aggressive thing I've ever done. I don't know. What's the most aggressive? Like I've been in fights, but I rarely did I like start them. What you got? You hit a dude
I
with a
just
wet floor
ended.
sign. you ended some shit with a wet floor sign one time. That was pretty aggressive.
Dude. What's happening to the show, bro? I think the integrity of the show is just straight up decay. First of all, you say I hate my parents, and now I hear describing me assault with a deadly weapon. The hell are you talking about, dude?
That shit wasn't deadly, bro. What's the most aggressive thing you've done?
I was ahead of my time, dude. You know, I think I inspired people utilizing around objects to hit people.
That was the original folding chair. Damn,
It was.
Pioneer.
It was.
Low key, dude.
High key, low key. High key, low key, low key.
High key, low key.
Yep.
Oh, if we hadn't already named the show, that would be the perfect episode for the show. Yo, so something else that I stumbled upon this week. There was a girl that did you hear about this? A girl was going to Cheesecake Factory. A dude took her there, and she was like, "I'm not getting out this car."
Hey man, but I wish I saw the video because I need to know
pull
her.
it up.
I need to know what she communicated to him in that moment, and like, how did y'all get all the way to cheese? Like, did she not know they were going there? Like, if you could have told me on the way.
I know neither of us have watched this video, so it was our first time actually watching this video. We're talking about something we know absolutely nothing about. Just
high key, low key.
high key, low key.
Let me just get the door for you. Okay.
The caption says she refused to get out of the car because he took her to the Cheesecake Factory.
He got me at the Cheesecake Factory, y'all.
Is he still in the car?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
Nah, that little finger.
Yes. Would you want me to open the door for you? Okay. You're recording? Yeah. This is the Cheesecake Factory. This is the Cheesecake Factory, y'all. What's the problem with that? This is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone that looks like this to a chain restaurant? You want to talk about it?
I'm gonna stop that right there.
My man doesn't understand what's happening.
He really doesn't understand what's happening. He's
My
really
man still
innocently asking.
He thinks this is still between him and her. She has decided.
It's for the world now.
Yeah. Even in front of them? Oh yeah, I want to talk about it. Yeah. I want to get up going in the car. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
Bruh.
I hate this lady, dude.
Is this his car? Did she just roll up his window on him of his car?
So, yes. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So you expect a man to go all out on the first date? Is that right? I mean, you're supposed to. Look at. I mean, when you take out a beautiful woman, and
I'm gonna stop that all right there, right now, just so. Let me not be mean. This. How much longer of this do we have to watch? Oh, this is 7 minutes. Oh hell no, we ain't gotta watch this. Let's skip around.
okay. And then, but I mean, I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do as a woman. But I got myself all made up. Wrong with the Cheesecake Factory, right? Yes, there's a lot wrong with the Cheesecake Factory. Okay, well, look at my plan where we were gonna go originally. See, now that's where we should have went already, right there. Thinking, okay, if we're not there in the relationship to,
My dude is so sorry, buddy.
Man, you are content now, my friend. You're not a date. You are now content.
Poor fella.
Look, man, there's nothing wrong with having standards. But I think when you decide in that moment that you're gonna make fun of this man because y'all have different standards and you assume everybody agrees with your standard, that's corny behavior to me. But
All the way corny. Nothing more uglier than being ugly on the inside, dude. I don't care what you say. Like I've been to dates with women that have acted exactly in this way before, and I don't care how pretty you are on the outside. There is absolutely nothing that is more unbecoming than someone that is just horrid on the inside.
I mean, but like that's I don't know. Is she horrid on the inside? She's definitely got some. She's not somebody I want to kick it with for sure. But
Why?
because
Because she sucks.
because the type of people I surround myself with are the type of people that are gonna make we are the good time. Whether it's us as a group of homies, whether that's me and my partner, whether like it's whatever the mix is. I like to surround my people with if the plan to go one place didn't work out, if we had cheesecake, it's lit at cheesecake. If we had McDonald's, it's lit at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand first date, you have a certain expectation, but if you can't roll with a change in plans, then we're not gonna work out anyway. So
Let me before I get on my high horse. How is the Cheesecake Factory? Yeah, obviously being heavily lactose intolerant.
yeah, word.
Here you go.
Cheesecake is the best. Is not maybe not the best, but it's high up there in terms of like chain restaurants. So like the lower versions would be like Applebee's, TGI Fridays. Cheesecake Factory is a half step
With
up
Red
from
Lobster.
that. Yeah, it's a half step up from that before you get to like a really actually nice restaurant.
Okay. But I mean, look, I know many women that have gone through this experience, shared that experience with their friends, their family, their brothers, their sisters, whatever the case is. There's nothing wrong with having that standard. Where it becomes horrid is when you start bullying, and bullying is trying to embarrass somebody publicly. And that part is whack to me, that part is whack to me. But also, dog in the whip, someone that's like this was probably showing them their colors along the way. And as I've grown older and learned as I've gotten older and was dating at a particular point in time, I've been learning how to be able to spot that out in a person way before we get to a place where it's like that. Sometimes you don't know, but like, don't put yourself in a position to not know. They'll just be hanging out.
But that was my first question is like, if you did like, they just pulled up to Cheesecake Factory. Like if I said, hey, yo, we were going to go here, change the plans. We're going to go, you down for the Cheesecake Factory? If you don't say anything and then we pull up there and then you start acting like this, I got a problem with that.
Yeah, pulling out the camera, that's the worst. That's the worst part about it. And the whole a beautiful woman like me, like self-confidence, yeah, sure. But when you are
ugly
putting that
shorty
out,
doesn't deserve
hell no.
The fact that you think the fact that
No,
you
I'm
think
joking.
where he takes you to out on that first date is attached to your worth in a way that it's unacceptable for it to go anywhere else. I think it's not my shorty. Nope, no thank you.
That's a big no thank you. There you have it, folks. No thank you from us and the Cheese Girl Cake Factory lady.
There you go.
Hey, dude.
Boom, boom, boom.
Let's do it. Yes, sir.
Yo, this is mad fly. Yo, shout out to YouTube audience that's seeing my brother's creativity at work right now. This is ill. This is ill. Westside Gunn. And then
My God.
You Pray for Me. Follow up to Pray for Paris. What to say about Westside, man? Westside is a crucial part of the Griselda label. Has helped to change the landscape of underground music over the past decade. Just a hardworking man. This man cranks out projects like not a lot of artists can, and projects that are well received, projects that are creatively interesting. This man has got his hands in fashion. This man has got his hands in art, and whenever he brings us a project, he shows off some of the best of what underground hip hop has to offer with his features, and this project is all of that. So, yeah, we were lucky to be reviewing this Westside Gunn project today. What were your first takes on this joint, Way?
Just real quick, can you hear the audio?
I can hear you, but I don't hear music now.
Okay, cool. What's I got? So leading up to this album, obviously a sequel to Pray for Paris, which was one of my favorite Westside Gunn albums that came out. Still run that back, you know. It's got I think that might be personally to me his best body of work. So my excitement around and then you pray for Paris. Well, and then you pray for me was quite big. Just going back, George Bando, 327, Allah sent me, Sean versus Flair, 500 ounces. There's a lot. There's a lot on that last album. And to me, that showed the brilliance of Gunn being able to blend this very classic boom bap East Coast sound, but with a very modern flair on top of it. Going into and then you pray for Paris, it seems that he's taken that a step further and has looked to also blend in um, more contemporary hip hop sounds and utilizing contemporary hip hop DJs like Tay Keith, which I found to be particularly interesting.
You know, Westside is one of those people that inspires me even when he's not the part of his projects I love the most. And that's a weird and wordy way to say that I think that Westside does an amazing job of being a a curator, right? Like I'm always inspired by the way that he plays with sounds, the way that he is unapologetic about pushing his style. And even when I don't love it, I'm always like, I'm so glad that this person is in the creative mix of hip hop, and pushing other people to be their most creative selves too. When I hear a Boldy James on a project like this, when I hear, like you said, Benny and Conway and Westside on a Take Keith beat, like that's it's a little something different. And I've been somebody that's been waiting for a minute to hear more from Stove God Cooks, and we got a lot of Stove God on this piece too. So Westside delivered a whole bunch of things that I like with this project. Got some Rick Ross in there. He didn't miss. He anything that you wanted, any combination that you thought you wanted to hear from Westside, from this area of hip hop, Westside brought it on this album. He knows what's up. He's got his fingers on the pulse for sure.
But I would say him having his finger on the pulse to the extent that it did was kind of a drawback for me when it comes to this album, because a lot of the songs where he was looking to make that push and that sound, it didn't really resonate with me. As I run the album back a lot more, some of those songs are standing out to me a little bit more. But the ESTG track, I wasn't a fan of that. The beats were on point, but I think Wes would be my least favorite person on that, which is very unique because how he's been rapping previously. He was my favorite feature, my favorite, but it's a breath of fresh air to hear him in there. But hearing him trying to do that sound with Jeezy didn't really come off quite well for me. And also the use of Stove God. I think Stove God and Wes feed off of each other well because they're both so versatile in their hip hop sounds and can really take it to a very obscure area that allows them a lot more freedom to be able to create, kind of like in Kitchen Lights, how Stove God hits that lights. He's able to play around with that type of sound, and it's fly when it's fly. But I think when they miss, because of how hard they're trying to swing for that fence and creativity, it misses quite hard. And this had a few. This had a slightly more than a few misses for me, only because of how imbalanced it was as a project. But that being said, the highlights and the high points of the album are actually like quite spectacular. You're talking about things such as JID's feature on Mama's Primetime, which to me is one of the best features, or in contention to one of the best features that we've heard in a while.
I think I think it's cool to see Jid return to this camp of people. We've seen Jid on a Conway feature before. I think when somebody who's on the come up is getting a lot of recognition for being in the next generation of lyrical rappers, is constantly stepping up, putting themselves next to the best of his peers. We see him here on this project. alongside some incredible lyricists. We saw him on Mick Jenkins' album. We see him rapping with J. Cole all the time. It's good to see that man step up and to not be afraid of even these spaces that don't necessarily cater to his sound, right? Man, that's Custas, man. So Benny has the first verse, Westside has the middle, and Conway raps that joint out, man. What did you dig Custas? Different beat for these gentlemen? Like, what did you and who took it?
It was hard. It was a Benny, but like Benny bounces and eats off of that, you know. And I was hoping that on Mama's Prime Time there would be more Benny. I would hope for more Benny than Stove got off of this album. But Costas, coming fresh off that Mama's Prime, this album it keeps up a very high pace of the first three, and then it gets to 1989, and that's when it starts losing its legs for me. And then you get into that DJ Drama joint, and again it starts getting a bit shaky, and then he pulls it back in with that Kitchen Light, Fly God 2X, the Dunhill with Rick Ross, lazy verse from Ross. Listening to Westside do that that whisper flow for me was a bit cringy. You know, I wasn't a big fan of that, especially because it's kind of an antiquated style that Baby and Nardo Wick had been doing previously, even though Drake is still keeping it up. But I don't want my West Side to be doing the sound that Drake is keeping up. I want my West Side to do West Side. And if he enjoys those sounds, then I think he should do a bit more of a producer role with it and allow people to be able to feature on there. So I'd love a West Side Gunn featuring and produce album, kind of like Diddy did. But in, you know, the Denzel Curry track I think was really dope. How he was able to pull that off. So he has the capacity to do it, but I think the creativity he applies to his classic sound sometimes hurts him when he goes into a contemporary sound.
I think you put it perfectly earlier when you said they're swinging so hard for the fences that when they miss big. And I think that's kind of what I've come to expect from West Side projects. And I think why I can really dislike some tracks and still feel like the album is good is because the tracks that I do like, I go back to, they have a lot of replay value for me. And when I'm in the mood to listen to West Side, nothing else will do. You know what I mean? It's like there are other artists where I'm like, oh, I want to hear this song from them. I want to hear this, you know, I got this joint stuck in my head. Let me go back to that and play that. But when I'm in the mood to listen to West Side, he's one of those artists where I'm usually starting with one song, and before I know it, I'm through that whole album because you can't switch away from it. There's so much intentionality in creating a vibe, creating a cohesiveness in an album, even while trying so many different things. And I really, this rocks for me. Even the songs that I don't like, are easy. I don't have to skip them. It's weird. It's weird that Westside has that effect on me. But that Jalen Rose with Boldy James is one of my. That's
too hard.
That's
that beat
hard.
was so. He dropped that beat as part of a snippet on his IG, and when we were playing it out loud, immediately niggas started freestyling. Immediately.
Bruh, Boldy's in a very good place rapping wise, and I'm just glad that that he was included on this project. This is one of those that I'll definitely be going back to. I think you can tell when Westside is really trying to make a body of work that's going to last versus when he's just experimenting. And while there's a lot of experimentation on this, I think this is one of those higher effort projects, like Pray for Paris, like Hitler Wears Hermes 8. This is one of those, and always happy to get some new West Side. I got a 4 out of 5 for this.
Damn, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
We can come back to it. It's October. We can revisit this joint at the end of the year and see where it fits. But because it's puffy coat weather this side, man, I can't wait to put on my puffy coat, with the hoodie under it and have this bumping in the whip.
Facts. Man, you want to thank these people before we play them out with a bit of West Side?
Hey, man, we know it is a beautiful Sunday, and either you are getting ready to be bundled up for the next few months, or you are just emerging into a summer. Wherever you happen to be at, whatever the vibes is, we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us in this celebration of celebrating, the celebration of life, the celebration of how good it feels to have Mo Griselda and on phones. Don't feel good way.
Love it, man.
Can't shout out my brother enough, man. Y'all see the quality of this show going up. Like low key, sometimes this thing looks so good that I just want to watch it. I forget that I'm a part of it. So appreciate you for constantly making those improvements. Shout out to our boy Hassan again, our producer. We love you, dog, and we love y'all out there. Wherever you at, make sure you eat something delicious. Hug somebody you love. You know, hit that subscribe button if you can. And enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Peace. Water. We gone.
You niggas still blind, this greatness in real time. Love to all my niggas locked up. I send my fake gorillas a thin line. I've been inclined.